All right, let's talk about force. But forget the simple textbook definition for a minute. We're going to dive into this as a deep, fascinating puzzle. And our guide is going to be the legendary physicist Richard Feynman. So, to kick things off, I've got a pretty provocative question for you. Is it possible that F equals ma, Newton's second law, the absolute bedrock of classical physics, is actually, on its own, kind of useless? Sounds crazy, I know, but stick with me. You see, Feynman himself pointed this out. If our big law of nature just says that force equals mass times acceleration, but we define force as mass times acceleration, well, we've just talked ourselves into a circle. It's a definition, not a discovery. It doesn't actually predict anything about the universe. It's just a label. So if it's not a definition, what in the world is it? Well, the real genius behind Newton's law isn't that it's an answer. It's that it's a program. It's a set of instructions for how to go out and investigate nature. Here's how the program works. Step 1, you see something accelerate. Step 2, you multiply its mass by that acceleration. Step 3, you give that number a name, force. And now, for the most important part, step 4, you have to look around in the real world for what caused it. See, the secret promise of Newton's law is that if you follow these steps, you won't just find random causes. You'll find that forces have simple, consistent, and predictable characteristics. And wow, has this program been successful? I mean, this is basically the method we've used to uncover the surprisingly simple rules that govern just about everything we see around us. Just look at two of the biggest discoveries that came out of this: gravity and electricity. What's absolutely fascinating is how similar they look on paper, but how wildly different they are in practice. Gravity, it always pulls things together, it depends on mass, and believe it or not, it's incredibly weak. The electrical force, on the other hand, can push or pull, it's based on charge, and it is overwhelmingly more powerful. So here's Newton's law of gravity. It's this beautiful inverse square law. You can see it right in the formula. The force F depends on the two masses, m1 and m2, being multiplied together. But then you divide by r squared, the distance between them squared. That means as things get farther apart, the force drops off really, really fast. And that capital G, that's just a constant, a number we plug in to make all the units work out. This one elegant rule governs everything from a falling apple to the orbit of Mars. Now check this out. The electrical force formula looks almost identical. The force is proportional to the two charges, Q1 and Q2, and it also follows that same inverse square law with distance. But here is the massive, world-changing difference. Charges can be positive or negative. If they're the same, two positives, say, they repel, they push each other away. If they're different, they attract. That one little detail is pretty much the reason the universe isn't just one giant, boring clump of matter. So how do these forces actually build the world we live in? Take a look at this graph. It shows the force between two atoms. When they're kind of far apart, over on the right, there's a little bit of attraction, pulling them closer. But if you try to shove them right on top of each other, moving to the left on the graph, that force suddenly becomes a huge repulsive force, shooting way up. That repulsion, that's what you're feeling right now. It's the electrical force between the atoms in the floor and the atoms in your shoes, pushing back and keeping you from falling through to the center of the Earth. Okay, these formulas are amazing for objects just sitting there. But what happens when things are moving, when the distance is constantly changing? To handle that, physicists came up with an even more powerful idea, the concept of a field. Now, a field isn't just a math trick. Physicists think of it as a real, physical thing that exists everywhere in space. Think about it. The Earth doesn't have some invisible rope that it uses to pull on the moon. Instead, the Earth creates a gravitational field that fills all of space around it. The moon then just responds to the field that's right there at its own location. And this leads to something really profound. Fields solve the whole action at a distance problem. See, if you wiggle an electron right here, another electron way over there doesn't feel it instantly. No, that wiggle creates a ripple in the electric field that travels outwards at the speed of light. So the field at any given point in space actually contains a memory of what the source was doing a little while ago in the past. This is a great way to picture it. A field is like having an invisible arrow at every single point in space. Each arrow, or vector, tells you two things: the direction of the force and how strong it is. So if you were to drop a particle at any one of those points, you'd know exactly which way it would get pushed and how hard. It's like a complete weather map for forces. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what forces are, but now things are about to get weird. What about forces that feel completely real, but actually aren't? Let me introduce you to the pseudo force. These are basically phantom forces. They only show up when you, the observer, are in an accelerating frame of reference. They don't come from gravity or magnetism or anything physical. They are a product of your own motion. The most famous example, one we've all felt, is the so-called centrifugal force. You know the feeling, right? You're in a car that takes a sharp turn and you feel like you're being thrown against the door. Or you're on a merry-go-round and you feel a force pulling you outwards. But is there actually something out there pulling on you? Nope, not at all. That outward push is a complete illusion. It's just your inertia doing its thing. Your body wants to keep moving in a perfectly straight line, but the car is turning underneath you. From your point of view inside the accelerating car, it feels like a force pushing you out. But to somebody standing on the sidewalk watching, they just see the car door pushing in on you, forcing you to make the turn. It's all about your perspective. So what's the big takeaway here? The idea of force is an incredibly powerful tool. It's an amazing approximation that helps us make sense of the world. But like every tool in physics, it has its limits. It's not the final, deepest layer of reality. And Feynman, once again, points us towards that deeper layer. He says that when you get down to the truly bizarre world of quantum mechanics, talking about forces just isn't the best way to describe what's happening. There, a different concept becomes much more fundamental: energy. You see, on the tiniest scales, physicists find it's much more useful to think about interactions as exchanges of energy. Instead of asking, what is the force on this particle, they ask, what's the energy landscape look like? Everything in nature, kind of like a ball on a hill, wants to roll down to the lowest possible energy state. If you can describe that landscape, you can predict what's going to happen, all without ever needing the word force. It's just a more fundamental way to look at the universe. And that leaves us with a final, absolutely mind-bending question to chew on. If the forces we feel every day can just be illusions created by our own motion, and if the whole concept of force just kind of falls apart at the quantum level, then what is actually real? What concepts are truly fundamental? And that is the kind of question that keeps pushing physics forward.